Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions week 17. And in regular context, this will be the final week of the season, but the NFL extended it for another game for the third year in a row. When last week I went 8-7. The only reason I went 8-7 because I failed to submit my Thursday night pick, which was for the Rams, which puts my total season up to 145-94. Now, this week, I'm doing things slightly different. I'm going to sort the games through times. What else is new? But then for Sunday's games, I'm going to sort them based off of non-important games to the important games, with the time coinciding, of course. So, and also I'm feeling much better last week. So predictions will be back to normal. But anyway, our first game, Thursday Night Football, the final Thursday Night Football of the year, in which the New York Jets will be taking on the Cleveland Browns. The Browns last week had a big game from Joe Flacco and Amari Cooper. Those two went crazy in Houston. As for the New York Jets, they had a good week too. They got a win over Washington. Even though they almost blew a 27-7 lead, they were able to get a last-second field goal to win them the game. Now, for the Browns, they could clinch with the win, a playoff berth with the win, and or losses from Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Jacksonville, Houston, with Indianapolis both losing together. I think with this being a night game and it's in Cleveland, Browns will be wearing their white helmets. I am going to roll with the Cleveland Browns to win at home. I just trust their offense and their defense a little more than I trust the Jets. Next we have is Monday Night Football, in which the Detroit Lions will be taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Wait, Monday Night Football? This game is actually being played on a Saturday, because Monday is New Year's Day, and New Year's Day is reserved for the Rose Bowl, and it's the college football playoff. So they're going to push this game to Saturday, and we have two playoff contending teams. Both of these teams, they need to win they need wins for different reasons. For the Lions, who for the first time ever won the NFC North, they need to win to keep whatever number one seed hope alive. And for the Cowboys, who are on a 2-game slide, they need to win to keep pace with the Philadelphia Eagles and see if they can have any hope of winning the NFC East. Now, this game's being played in Dallas. Dallas have been a bit of a slump lately, and it's mostly because of their road play. But because they're at home, I am going to lean towards the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. They're just a different animal when they play in Jerry World. No offense, Detroit. Okay, first unimportant game on our docket. We have two teams that both came in together in 1995. The Carolina Panthers taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Carolina, listen, they lost last week to the Packers, but this was their best showing as a team. They put up 30 points. Bryce Young threw for 300 yards for the first time ever. Most of it is due to a Joe Barry defense. But there is some hope. First time this whole season, the Panthers have some hope. Same can't be said for Jacksonville because they're on a 4-game slide. Got destroyed by the Bucks. And Trevor Lawrence, he's taking a massive beating this year. And part of me saying this team could be one and done if they make it to the playoffs. Well, for Jacksonville, they do have a clinching scenario. They could clinch with a win, and Houston and Indianapolis must lose. What I think about those, you'll see later on. But for now, I do think Jacksonville is going to win this game. It's being played in Duval County. I don't see any other scenario of them not winning. Then we have the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Chicago Bears. I wish the Falcons got a surprise win over the Indianapolis Colts. I'm telling you, this team really frustrates me. And the Chicago Bears getting a win over the Arizona Cardinals. And surprisingly, both teams still have playoff hopes. But all I know is the Falcons could get eliminated with the loss or Tampa Bay win, and the Bears, if they lose, they're done. And this game is could go in any direction. I know both teams are not making the postseason, even though they have very slim playoff hopes. But the way they're playing, Falcons are very inconsistent. Bears are also inconsistent, but they have been playing a lot better. So for that reason, I'm going to give the slightest of edges to the Chicago Bears. Next, we have a AFC South matchup between the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans. Titans lost a heartbreaker to the Seattle Seahawks last week, and Houston, well, the score didn't really. Don't let the scoreboard fool you about that Browns and Texans game because it was a near bloodbath. Hopefully, CJ Stroud could come back. He missed the last two games with a concussion, and there's nothing really of importance in this game. Houston, if they win, they win. If they lose, they're not going to be out of the postseason. But we know that they're going to need a lot of help. Tennessee, they're already eliminated. So, because of that, I am going to roll with the Houston Texans to win. They are at home. Even though my clause says it's hard for teams to get 2 wins in 3 weeks because they played each other 2 weeks ago, which Houston won on a last second field goal. But I'm still going to take the Texans to win. Next we have is the Los Angeles Rams taking on the New York Giants. The Rams got a big Thursday night win over the New Orleans Saints, and the Giants, well, yes, they lost to the Philadelphia Eagles, but they made it much closer than you think. They actually had to bench Tommy DeVito over for Tyrod Taylor, and Tyrod played okay. Giants, they had a chance to win. That's their big takeaway. But the Rams, there's a clinching scenario for them. They could clinch a playoff berth with a win and Seattle loss. And while I do think this game will be closer than what people think, I'm still gonna roll with the Rams to win this game. Next we have is the 49ers taking on the Washington Commanders, in which the 49ers will win this game soundly, even if with their beast team. No discussion about it. Let's move on. Then we have the Arizona Cardinals traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. The Cardinals lost to the Bears last week. It was pretty much uneventful. What else is new? And the Eagles, they got a win over the New York Giants on Christmas Day. Now for the Eagles, if they win and Dallas loses, they'll become the first team to win consecutive NFC East titles since 2001 to 2004, which, by the way, they themselves did it. Now, they'll be going up against a Gannon defense, who is their former defensive coordinator from last year. And I think this game will be closer than what people think, but I am going to give the slightest of edge to the Philadelphia Eagles to win. And then we have a pretty big NFC South matchup in which the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be hosting the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, they lost to the Rams again. They really need to fire Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael into the sun. Well, Tampa, they won 4 straight. They're hot. They're one of the hottest teams in the league, and no one's really paying them any attention. That's what's getting me. Baker Mayfield, he's pretty much my contender for comeback player of the year if they don't give it to DeMar Hamlin. And yeah, and the Saints, like I said, they desperately need to win this game if they want any hope. Now the Bucks, if they win this game, the NFC South is theirs. It will not go all the way down to week 17, week 18. And the way the Bucks are playing, I can't go against that. I'm taking Tampa to win the NFC South. Next we have is the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Indianapolis Colts. The Raiders, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but here it is. They used their defense to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Because Aiden O'Connell, he wasn't really useful. He only completed less than 10 passes. But it was their defense with two defensive scores that caused them to beat the Chiefs. As for the Indianapolis Colts, it was a rough going at it for them last week. They got destroyed by the Atlanta Falcons. And I felt like that game was a bit of a letdown game, knowing that they had Jonathan Taylor back, but I think Michael Pittman was out with a concussion. So, yeah, their passing offense was not that great in this particular game. Think this one could go in any direction. Both teams are vying for playoff spots. I can't believe I'm saying that about the Raiders. But there you go. And I'm going to give the slightest of edges to the Indianapolis Colts to win. I don't expect a lot of scoring in this game. I really do think the Raiders defense, they're that team. Following that, we have an AFC East matchup with the New England Patriots taking on the Buffalo Bills. And for the Patriots, they got a win last week at Denver to dent their playoff hopes. As for the Bills, they used the last second Tyler Bass win to beat the Chargers on Saturday. Nothing really spectacular there. But the last time we saw these two teams was on week 7, and it was the Patriots that came out on top. Now, the Bills, they have several clinching scenarios, and it's very complex. But their best bet is to win and have Pittsburgh lose and Cincinnati to lose. And I think because they already lost to the Patriots once, I don't think that's going to happen again. Bills are one of the hotter teams in the league. I'm taking the Bills to win. And then we have a game that should have been flexed in the Sunday night, but for some reason it wasn't. But you thought last week was the game of the week? Man, this week there's a lot on the line for these two teams. We got the Miami Dolphins taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens picked up not only a huge victory, but the biggest victory of the season, beating the 49ers on the road on Christmas night, using their defense of all things to get the job done. As for the Miami Dolphins, they also got a win over the Dallas Cowboys. They used the last second field goal to get the job done. But they did lose Jalen Waddle in the process. These are the top two teams in the AFC. Whoever wins pretty much will have pretty much have home field advantage on their lap. Although if Baltimore wins, it'll be all but theirs. And the Dolphins, all they can do is clinch the AFC East if they win. Because I think their final game of the season is, I believe, is the Buffalo Bills. And that game's not a gimme. So these next 2 weeks are going to be some of the interesting weeks for the Miami Dolphins. And with this game being in Baltimore, and the fact that Baltimore has done very good against great competition, I see why not. I'm going to roll with the Ravens to win this game. And then we have a very big matchup with a lot of playoff implications. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Steelers, they have pretty much their best win of the season, beating up on the Cincinnati Bengals, thanks to George Pickens and Mason Rudolph. As for the Seattle Seahawks, another come from behind win on the road, beating the Tennessee Titans, in similar fashion to how they beat the Eagles. Now, this game is going to be played in Seattle, and I did say both of these teams, this has a lot of implications because whoever loses, they're going to put themselves in that deeper of a hole going into Week 18. Now, for Seattle, they have a clinching scenario. They could win this game, but the Sunday Night Football game has to end in a tie if they want to clinch. And sadly, I don't see this happening. Now, I want to part of me want to lean towards the Pittsburgh Steelers to win because this is a type of game they'll win. Nothing about the Steelers makes sense. But this game's at home. I do trust Seattle a little bit in this one. I'm going to take the Seahawks to win. But I would not be surprised if the Steelers pull it off. And then we have the Los Angeles Chargers traveling to Denver to take on the Broncos. Chargers, they look like a different team without Brandon Staley. Unfortunately, they came up short against the Bills, but they did put up a good effort. As for the Broncos, their playoff hopes took a big dent, losing to the New England Patriots at home. And now they're basically outside. They're still outside looking in, and they're going to need a lot of help for the rest of the season. Now, this game, this is another one of those games. It's going to be closer than what people think. But this one being at home, I am going to give a very small edge to the Denver Broncos to win at home. And then we have what thought was going to be the game of the year, but however, it's turning out to be a bit of a sludge fest. We have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Kansas City Chiefs, they lost at home on Christmas Day against the Las Vegas Raiders. They really need to fire Matt Nagy. I think he's the biggest problem on this team. Also, the drops, the offense just is out of sync, and they're out of sync at the wrong time. As for the Bengals, they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and right now their season saying what could have been without all these injuries. Now this game is in Kansas City, and the Chiefs, they could clinch the AFC West for the umpteenth time in a row with the win, or Denver and the Raiders got to lose. But I do think the Chiefs will use their defense to get a win here. But we've seen disappointment. All the Chiefs defeats have been because of the Chiefs. And I think this game could be like that. But for now, I'm taking the Chiefs to win. And then last but not least, we have a Sunday night football matchup between the Green Bay Packers taking on the Minnesota Vikings. For the second year in a row, these two teams are playing on Sunday night on week 17. How ironic. Packers, yes, they beat the Carolina Panthers, but oh boy, that defense do not look good at all. They gave up 30 points to the Panthers, the worst scoring team in the league. As for the Minnesota Vikings, yeah, they lost at home to the Lions, but like the Bengals, they're pretty much their season is saying, what if? What if all these injuries haven't happened? We could be easily competitive. Now, these two teams have played each other, and the Vikings won that first matchup. So in this one, both teams, they need a win, because a loss, possible elimination for both teams if they lose to the loser. But I'm going to give Green Bay the edge, only because they're the more healthier team. Jordan Love, I do trust Jordan Love more than I trust Nick Mullins. And the Packers, hopefully, defensively, they could figure it out. And that concludes Week 17. The final game of the year will be played on New Year's Eve, and that will probably transition us to 2024. So tell me what y'all think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.